What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This week we're back on our 1967 twin turbo Contiental, not a Chevelle, man. I got used to saying that. Last episode and the one prior to that, you guys watched us build a custom chassis from nothing to something. Well, in this episode, we're gonna continue with some of that fancy metalwork. We're gonna be building a floor for this thing and a transmission tunnel. But before we get started on that, we got to cut out a lot of this framework so we can get in there and get to it. All right, it's go time. We are moving on to the next stage of our twin turbo Contiental build, and we're going to be starting with our transmission tunnel. Dave and I have been playing with some cardboard already this morning. Kind of got a little bit of an idea of what we're going to be doing. We're going to be building it out of a couple different trapezoids. So instead of being round, we're going to kind of do it a little bit more boxy, just because we're going to try to keep it as flat as we can going down through the drive shaft section, because we are going to attempt to use the stock bench seat in the car. So we're going to try to keep it as low as possible, and obviously have clearance for all these little knick-knack paddywhacks on the transmission. We got a template kind of started. Dave's going to take this over, transfer it into the CAD on the computer at the plasma table, cut it out, we're gonna bend it up. Meanwhile, I'm gonna be playing around with some floor pans. So I did buy these online. They are supposed to fit. I have a feeling they are not. Maybe we could utilize them for something. You got two sections for the front and two for the back, but it's missing a whole section in the middle. So I don't know, try to piece it together, make some origami. See if we can't get this floor done today. We got our main pieces of the floor rough cut and put in here. Now that we have this together, we're gonna move back over to the transmission tunnel. Went ahead and looked under here at all of our clearances on either side, and we're looking good. You can also see this flange sits nice and flush with our floor level. So I'm gonna go ahead and weld this up on both of the seams, finish that out, and then we can put this back in and start to make a cutout front, because over here this dives in way too deep into the pedal area, but we can't have it any closer in the back because of our connectors and our linkage. So there is a lot of space up here. So after this is welded, we can cut this back in and dive it in and make a fill-in piece on this side. That way we're not intruding as much into our pedal area. All right, we are moving along here on the interior of our Continental. We got some floors, we got a transmission tunnel, all the way basically back to where our rear seat's gonna be. Next thing we're gonna be doing here to our floors before anything gets welded to the body is laying out some sort of bead rolls to give it some strength and rigidity. We're gonna be adding some supports underneath as well. And then Dave's gonna be able to fill in these two pieces to the left and right of our tunnel where our drive shaft's gonna be running through. So we're gonna get some measurements, do a little layout, and then hit that bead roller. All right, we got passenger side main floor pan all B-rolled. Wasn't easy, man. This is a long sheet to try to do by yourself. I use my motorcycle lift to kind of support the metal. This is 16 gauge, so it gets a little heavy. And also it's 16 gauge, so we got to go through the bead roll twice. So that kind of makes it a little harder. You can kind of see here, I kind of fell off my line a little bit. I'm also 47 and semi-blind. I should have put my glasses on. But all in all, it's not like something that is going to be visible like a firewall bead roll or something real important. This is mostly just for structure and to add that rigidity. So I think we're good to go. I'm going to go ahead and throw this little piece in. We'll throw our tunnel in, and then I got to kind of do the same thing we did on the driver's side. We should have probably did some figuring before we took everything back apart, but we got to add some metal onto that floor pan over there, and we keep moving, man. Let's go. All right, we got both passenger and driver's side main section of the floor B-rolled. All put in. We got our transmission tunnel in. Everything's kind of clamped in the front and in the back. I do have a couple areas I got to fill in along our transmission flange in the front over there. Little section over here. I'm going to go underneath, make a couple templates, then we'll pull these floors out, hopefully for the last time. We'll be able to go ahead and throw some clecos in all these flanges. I also got to connect my flanges over here and fully weld all this. So a couple more steps, and then we are ready to move on either to the firewall or to the back section of floor, to be determined. All right, we got our little two pieces cut. I don't know if you guys noticed on that time lapse, almost lost the tip of my finger. But gotta clean up a little blood over there. What do we got here? This one sits like here. And there. This little guy went to the market. And this little piggy goes here. All right, floors are almost done. Today's the day we're gonna be wrapping this up. We got to add a little bit to our transmission tunnel. I also believe we have to make a little relief cut and a little bump up on our floor pan back there where our, I believe they're called like tension rods, are tied into our frame rails back here. So, you know, there's gonna be that lift on the rod, like we made that relief in our frame, which is popping through our floor. We're gonna probably have to do the same thing. I marked that side over there. Probably gonna just make like a little cap to go up through that and just seal it up and extend our transmission tunnel. Gotta add a little to our flange on our transmission, and this should be ready to start welding up and getting set in place. So yeah, a couple more little steps and we'll be wrapping up this floor pan, man. All right, now that we got our floor bead rolled, we got it clecoed in, transmission tunnel's done, all the way up to where our back firewall, I guess you could call it, is gonna land. So that's already fixed. We got our little bump out pads, our caps, that all worked out. Not that we're trying to get ahead of ourselves, but we are starting to think about seating and some more support for underneath our floor. You know, this is pretty flimsy through here. So we're gonna cut some 4x1 material, like for here and here. That's probably where our seat frame is going to end up landing. We're going to go ahead and tack it up to our frame rails underneath, from the inner frame rail to this outside frame rail on the inside. So that'll act as a little more support for our floor, as well as going to give us somewhere to through bolt our frame down the road. So like I said, we're just going to cut a couple pieces, tack them in there for now until we actually figure out how we're gonna build a frame for these seats. These are the same slosh tub seat frames that we're using in our 57 GMC. These things are mint, man. I'm really happy with the product. We're gonna opt out on the mounting base that they make. We are gonna get the center console thing to kind of join them together, but we're gonna get 4 sets of them. Yeah, floor came out real nice. I'm real happy with it. It has a really good feel when you sit in it. You're gonna be pretty low. Plenty of leg room, man. So I think the owner's gonna be stoked when he gets this thing. He gets to cruise around in it. So looking good, man. Looking real good. Floor work done in our 67 Lincoln Continental. We also got our transmission tunnel fabricated from the front to the rear, and as you see, our floors are supported. I can even do a little dancing here now. So we still have a bunch of welding to do to get all this stuff done, but before we do that, I want to get our firewall done and the rear section closeout panel all done. So if you guys notice, Brady already started ripping out a bunch of the firewall because we're going to make this thing a little bit more flat and a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. Speaking of aesthetically pleasing, if you squint your eyes really, really hard, this thing is really starting to look like a Continental again.
We got our front bumper mounted. We also got our complete body of this car mounted to the frame. So next episode, we're gonna be doing a whole bunch of more metal fab on the firewall and the rear closeout. So make sure you guys hit that notification bell, like, subscribe. We'll see you guys next week.